Today, we're talking about roster cloggers and why you should be doing your own running back evaluations instead of listening to these fantasy analysts telling you who to go get. All right, keep it locked. Let's get it. Welcome to the DY Proj channel. I'm your guy, DY Fly. What it do? First and foremost, big shout out to my subscribers. The last time I signed off, I was at like 36, 37 subscribers, and I woke up and now I'm at like 50 something, like 53, 54. So shout out to my new subscribers.
This is culturally inappropriate.
That's right. Thank y'all for rocking with your boy. We moving. But it is fantasy season, and I actually have a fantasy draft coming up on Monday. I'm going to live stream it, and then I'll post it, and y'all can see how I went about my business. But yeah, man, and I'm sorry in advance because I can't really give all the sauce or whatever, because some of the guys in my fantasy league, they are actually, they watch. They watch. I don't blame them, you know? I saw this clip when I was on vacation. I saw this clip over the weekend, and I wasn't even gonna touch on this topic. All right, I had it in my head, and I was like, I don't know about that. It's about running back evaluations, and I'm like, And then I saw this clip, and I busted out laughing. I'm like, I guess I got to do it. So I just want to talk about running back evaluations and why you should be making your own or having your own running back evaluations when it comes to fantasy, you know, because that'll save you from having roster cloggers and guys who only give you 5 to 7 points instead of the backup guy. Whenever he gets his chance, he could go for 17, 19 plus, you know. But I saw this clip, and I just want to give some examples of guys who are actually good or good enough to get it done, and versus guys who fantasy analysts are hyping up. Okay, and we'll get into how to evaluate running backs in a second. But first, just take a look at this. All right, so I saw this clip. This is Bamm Knight from the Cardinals. The Cardinals are backed up on their 32-yard line. Donavon Knight, Bamm Knight, he takes the handoff, and let's see what happens. All right, he's in the second level. Okay, he's in the second level. He's already up to the 45-yard line. Now he only has one person to beat, essentially. Okay, he has one person to beat. This is Donavon Knight. He's what, the third or fourth running back on the Cardinals? Let's take a look. All right, the safety, he dusted him. You know what the result is. That's 6 for the Cardinals. All right, that clip is why I'm making this video. Okay, so then I stumbled across this clip. This is Donavon Edwards from the Jets. He's like the fourth running back on the Jets. So they are backed up on their 28-yard line. Okay, so let's take a look here. He takes the handoff. One person to beat, the safety, right? He beats the safety. Let's see what happens. Bam, smokes him. All right, gone. That's good for 6. So these are the type of guys. I'm not saying Donavon Edwards is great. I'm not saying Bamm Knight, I'm not saying he's great. But let's just take a look at who they've been hyping up. And I'm an Eagles fan, right? I'm going to be as an Eagles fan guy today, okay? So they've been hyping up Will Shipley. And we all remember that run that he had in the championship game against the Redskins. Let's take a look at this. All right, he breaks it. Then he gets past. He's in the second level, okay? He's in the second level. All he needs to do is beat the safety, all right? Gets tracked down. Okay, he gets down to the 1. Now, where was he? We were on our 26-yard line, or 46. Yeah, we were on our 46-yard line, okay? And he didn't house that. All right, and you might be like, all right, well, the safety was faster than him. He tracked him down and whatever. And I'm like, when I first saw this clip, I'm like, I I don't know, y'all. Y'all been hyping him up. You know, this ain't college no more. You know, if you get that runway, you need to house that. All right. Now, we just saw two guys who had the athleticism and the speed to beat the safety. So you saw that clip by Will Shipley. Now let's take a look at this clip in this preseason game against the Bengals. Now you see it here. We're on our 41-yard line, right? And Will Shipley, he gets the handoff. Now let's take a look. Bam. He's in the second level. Okay. He's at the 50, one man to beat. All right. One man to beat the safety. So you saw those other two clips. Let's take a look at what happens right here. He goes inside out, right? Bam, gets tackled. This is why you need to do your own running back evaluations, because that's the difference between getting, where was he? At the 40. That's the difference between getting 4 or 5 points on a run and receiving 13 to 15 points on a run in one play. If you don't know the potential of a player, then you're just going to go off what these fantasy analysts tell you. All right. Now, I just gave you two clips. They're the fourth running back on their own teams, and they're probably not even going to get any run this season. Now, fantasy analysts are telling you that Will Shipley is going to be the guy if anything happens to 2K say Saquon Barkley. All right. And that's not the case. If you're an Eagles fan, then you already know that Dillon, he's played well enough in this offseason that they're probably going to split the carries if Saquon were to miss some time. All right. It's not just going to go all to Will Shipley. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The same guys that told you Kamani Vidal was good, they're still telling you Trey Benson is good. All right. Trey Benson is not good. And the reason why is simple, because this is him in the backfield. All right. You see him? He's dancing in the backfield. Okay. That's Trey Benson. Trey Benson's not good. Kamani Vidal's not good. Will Shipley, look, man, if you want to take him, cool. All right. That's more access for me to get players that are actually good. Now, yeah, man, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't want to keep you too long, but as far as running back evaluation, I touched on it in my last live stream. It was kind of long and it was kind of deep. It was deep in there, but someone like Kenneth Walker, right? He's a perfect example of you doing your own running back evaluation. Like when he was coming out, a lot of the fantasy analysts were being lazy and they were saying that, oh, he's a Nick Chubb clone and he doesn't really catch passes out of the backfield. Now, there are very few highlights of Kenneth Walker catching the ball out of the backfield, but they exist. And when I saw him, he looked slick catching the ball. So it's not the fact that he can't catch the ball out of the backfield. It's the fact that they didn't throw him the ball. Okay. Now, when he broke out last year and he caught 46 receptions for 299 yards, I wasn't shocked. They finally used him as a pass threat out of the backfield. He could always do that. All right. But it wasn't because he can't catch or he had brick for hands like a Adrian Peterson or anything. It's just that they weren't throwing him the ball. So that's one of the things that you have to look out for. But how to choose running backs, again, for me, I can't tell you how to do it, but for me, I have references in my mind that I've seen in the past. Like some of my favorite running backs is Barry Sanders, Marshall Faulk, Chris Johnson, Arian Foster. Now, the running backs, they won't be exactly like those guys, but they have to have certain traits from those guys. Okay? They have to have certain traits. So Kenneth Walker, he's a perfect example. He is cut from that Barry Sanders, LaShawn McCoy type cloth, right? Chris Johnson, right? You look at Devin Achane, he's cut from the Chris Johnson type cloth, right? Marshall Faulk was cut from the Thurman Thomas type cloth, and we really haven't gotten anyone quite like Marshall Faulk yet. I know they try to throw out Christian McCaffrey or whatever just because he catches balls out of the backfield, but look, man, there's levels, okay? There's levels. All you gotta do is watch Marshall Faulk's highlights and watch Christian McCaffrey's highlights, and you'll see one is as smooth as butter and the other one looks like he's trying really hard. And Marshall Faulk actually could play in the slot. He could play wide receiver in the slot. he actually could play wide receiver on the outside. He was that great. All right. And, you know, even if you look at the numbers, Marshall Faulk clears and it's not even close, but that's the other thing. You gotta watch out for these fantasy analysts hyping up these guys. But yeah, man, have your own references, you know, have your own evaluation. If you do trust the fantasy analysts, have like one source that you know their hit rate has to be like above 90%, and that's being generous. Like, it should be like 95, because running backs are really the easiest to evaluate. You know, they're really the easiest to evaluate. Now, you can't be mad at yourself if your evaluation of a player is right, but they're not getting the PT. If the coaches aren't giving them a chance to actually show what they got. You know, like, I like Pierre Strong. I think he's a good running back, but he really hasn't had the opportunity to show what he has. But when he has gotten the opportunity, I think he has like a 20-point game under his belt. So he can play, but, you know, there's been guys that's been, I think he's been behind Nick Chubb and some other guys with the Browns. It's okay to miss on players that are actually good instead of missing on guys that are kind of in flux right now. I haven't looked at my team in a minute. Yeah, let's take a look at my team. We have the fantasy draft coming up this Sunday. I'm going to live stream it. And yeah, you see the final boss.
This is what happens when you fuck with the final boss.
So we're going to see what happens, but man, you got to take some chances to win, man. You got to take some chances to win. You got to look yourself in the mirror and really decide what you want to do and how you want to build your fantasy team. Okay? You got to look yourself in the mirror and ask who you are, and then you got to look down and check to see if your balls are still there, right? You got to see if your balls still work and say, yeah, you know, scared money don't make no money. Players that you want, go get your guys, all right? Go get your guys. Now, I can't really say, you know, I can't really say who to go get just yet, because, you know, some of the guys in my fantasy league, they might, they watch. They got their eyes on here just in case I slip up and say, you know, say what's what. During the live stream, I'm giving away the sauce or whatever. I'm gonna show you who I'm drafted. I'm gonna show who I'm targeting or whatever. And yeah, man, you gotta decide what players you want. But yeah, man, you know, that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully I got my point across. My live stream, we're gonna be doing that on Monday. I'm just gonna stream it and then post it. No one will be able to I guess comment as the stream goes on. But that's pretty much all I got. I'm sorry I couldn't give you any suggestions on running backs or, you know, players to target. Hopefully you've been paying attention. It is draft season, so, you know, you gotta go get your guys. All right, go get your guys. It's go get your guys season. Okay, that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe, and you know the deal.
Nigga, you gonna get down or you gonna fucking lay down?